It was supposed to be a simple road trip, 4 friends, 1 car, and a scenic route through the countryside. But after taking an unmarked detour to avoid a traffic jam, they found themselves driving down a winding, tree-lined road that seemed to stretch on forever. Just as they were about to turn back, they came across a charming little town nestled in a valley surrounded by dense woods. The town sign read, "Welcome to Everhaven, where you'll always feel at home." At first glance, Everhaven seemed idyllic, like something out of a vintage postcard. The streets were lined with colorful, well-kept houses, and cheerful townsfolk waved as the group drove by. There was a diner with a hand-painted sign, a quaint inn with flower boxes under its windows, and a clock tower in the center of town that gave off a comforting chime. The friends parked and got out to explore. There was no cell service, but they didn't mind. "We'll grab something to eat, check out the town, and get back on the road," said Clara, the group's unofficial leader. The people were welcoming, almost too welcoming. The diner's owner greeted them with a warm smile and insisted they try the house special. The innkeeper offered a discounted rate, saying the group's arrival was meant to be. Even the local kids seemed unnaturally cheerful, laughing and playing in the square, their faces bright but strangely emotionless. As they settled in for the night, the group couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. "This place is weird," said Ryan, the skeptic of the group. "It's like everyone here is acting a little too perfect." Clara brushed it off. "Come on, it's just a quiet little town. Not everything has to be a conspiracy." But the strangeness grew harder to ignore. The town's clock tower, the centerpiece of Everhaven, was stuck at 8:13 p.m., its hands never moving. The smiling residents seemed to appear out of nowhere, watching the group with unblinking eyes. And when David, the group's designated driver, tried to take the car out for gas, he found himself driving in circles, always ending up back at Everhaven's town square. Then came the night. As darkness fell, the town transformed. The warm, golden lights turned dim and flickered erratically. The cheerful faces of the townsfolk twisted into grotesque grins that stretched far too wide, revealing teeth that were jagged and blackened. The laughter of the children turned into eerie, echoing giggles that seemed to come from every shadow. The friends barricaded themselves in their room at the inn, but it didn't help. They heard whispers coming from the walls, voices calling them by name. David swore he saw a figure standing at the foot of his bed, watching him with empty eyes. Desperate for answers, the group searched the inn's dusty archives and stumbled upon an old ledger filled with names. Names of travelers who had come to Everhaven over the years but never left. They also found a journal belonging to a man named Elias Grayson, a former resident of the town. The entries told the story of a ritual gone wrong, a desperate attempt to ensure the town's prosperity that had cursed it instead. Everhaven was no longer part of the living world. The townsfolk, now trapped in a timeless purgatory, had to lure outsiders to the town as sacrifices to sustain their cursed existence. The group realized they had become the next targets, but there was a way out, or so the journal claimed. If they could destroy the clock tower, the heart of the ritual, they might be able to sever the curse. The catch? The destruction of the tower would require a living soul to stay behind as an offering. The night became a race against time. The friends fought their way through the town, pursued by the monstrous townsfolk whose smiles never faded, even as they clawed and screeched. When they reached the clock tower, they discovered the truth of the sacrifice. One of them had to willingly stay behind, becoming part of Everhaven forever, so the others could escape. Bonds of friendship were tested as the group argued over who would make the ultimate sacrifice. Secrets were revealed, tensions flared, and the horrors of the town seemed to feed on their fear and desperation. As the first rays of dawn began to creep over the horizon, the group made their choice. But escaping Everhaven would come at a terrible cost, one that would haunt the survivors for the rest of their lives. Even after they escaped, they could never quite forget the eerie perfection of Everhaven, the smiles of the townsfolk, the haunting chime of the clock tower, and the feeling that they had left a piece of themselves behind. But what truly haunted them was the question: did they really escape? Every now and then, they would catch glimpses of something familiar, a sign in the distance reading, "Welcome to Everhaven," or the faint sound of a clock striking 8:13 p.m. And sometimes, in their quietest moments, they could still hear the whispers calling them back home.